Cool.
So I guess what are the changes? LieMDB round two. Welcome back, everyone who's still listening to this. We left with what is it? Jono or Harry in the lead. I know it wasn't me, and that's all that matters. Because I was dead last, but I'm here. I'm fighting, coming back into the game. But apparently we've changed up how things are going a bit.
Yeah, we have Tony. That was a good intro. Because for this round, round two, we're doing something a little bit different. We're doing it apart.
Oh, I
So
know.
Tony said what the film was a while back, and we've
Mhm.
all had time to watch the film, and now we're going to discuss. And the difference with this round compared to other rounds is we've had a little bit more time to reflect on it.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
I've definitely
I actually got
taken
I got to
advantage of
do.
that.
I mean, I have. I kind of wanted to have a little look into the film's history. When did it come out?
Yeah,
Who's it by?
I've watched
You
plenty of
know,
YouTube videos to steal points from.
you
Um,
know how it is.
but if you're a hardcore fan of LieMDB and have watched my episode, because that's all you really need.
The
Uh,
last one, the one that came out last month.
yeah, God. You'll have noticed that there was a film that got quite a bit of buzz between Ethan and Jono as they sidetracked the Redline conversation to talk about the ending of his anime cyberpunk film Akira, which on watching that episode back I was like, you know what would be good? Picking Akira. It's what I've done. Japan, 1988. An explosion caused by a young boy with psychic powers tears through the city of Tokyo and it ignites the fuse that leads to World War III. That's the starting premise of the film. I'm just not going to read the entire synopsis, but yeah, it's.
Can we open by saying it's set in 2019,
Oh my god, that's so
Yeah,
cool.
that's next
Yeah,
year.
basically, it's.
which is fucking weird.
No, okay. The craziest, coolest thing about this, right, is that it is set in 2019, year before the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, and right now, well, next year will be 2019, year before the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. So, mind blown, confirmed,
Hmm.
conspiracy theory. But yeah, this is the film that I kind of couldn't not pick. It's definitely the most famous, one of the most famous, influential films, anime films of all time. I put it up there with the greats. And yeah, it's definitely started around that Blade Runner early 1980s because it's originally a manga that has 6 chapters. Stealing your info, Harry, that
I
you
mean, it's
told me
your
before
info.
this episode started. Um,
Oh, I thought you knew
I
that.
did know it though. To be fair,
Yeah,
I
of
just
course you
wanted to
knew it.
point out that I was also covering his research. Um, and yeah, just I think 1982, and the key thing to remember that contributes to what makes it good is that it is made by the same guy who who directed like who wrote the source material, who went on to direct the film. I'm gonna say his name right now. Otomo
Alan Moore.
Katsuhiro. That's him. That's the guy. I'm glad Harry dubbed over my bad pronunciation there. So yeah, this just to briefly sum up it's this cyberpunk sort of. I guess it's like a weird meta like commentary on society kind of thing that is framed about this kid Canada who's in a biker gang called the Capsules
Candida.
They
and
really like the country Canada.
and he is thrust into the world of this sort of underground military research and corruption about this like strange psychic powers that's coming up through some like young emaciated children, and also this weird like being thing called Akira, which the film is named after, and his friend Tetsuo. I want to say,
Tetsuo.
yeah, again
Sorry,
the
the names just
catchphrase of
get
the
shouted a
film.
lot.
Yeah, Canada says Tetsuo. Tetsuo says Canada. Repeat for 2 hours. It's a great film, and it's that back and forth of between I think those two I'd say antagonist and protagonist. Um, their sort of rivalry is what gives this film a sort of driving force up until its climactic conclusion, where shit gets real. So I guess we'll watch the film and come back. Except we already did that, so now we're here.
That was quick.
Can you imagine if you like edited in like the entire film, played at like 2,000 times speed, like into that gap?
I wish I was that talented.
All right, who wants to start off with their
all I really want to say is that what Akira really needs is a live action reboot directed by Zack Snyder.
It needs Scarlett Johansson to play Kay, definitely.
Do you think we should start with me, who's the only person who hadn't seen this film? Or do you think we should start with people who've seen it?
Start with you, Harry. Yes, you.
I can't believe I'm not starting. I'm used to the Star Wars format where I go last.
I know. I've flipped it on its head, Harry. How does it feel?
Alright. So, disclaimer. We were going to do this podcast at another time. And I had about an hour and a half to watch this film. So I knew that I wasn't going to get it done. And I watched the first, 30, 35, 40 minutes. And I didn't like it at all. I thought I couldn't follow it. My quality was bad. It was buffering loads. I was in a bad mood. And I thought it was rubbish. Tony's fucked up again. And then I was like, okay, I should probably watch this. I should watch this film properly. And I did watch it properly. I watched it downloaded, HD. I shut myself off from the world. And I let myself get lost in this incredible world. And I had a really good time with it. And even when it got to the ending, and it got all pretentious and stuff, I was really on board with it. Great film. Well done, Tony.
Oh my god, this is one of the happiest moments of my life.
Harry, do you think you would have still liked it if you'd seen it in the same circumstances as Tokyo Story?
Maybe. I feel like having time to reflect upon it makes me like it more.
Yeah, it's annoying that... I'm still really anti doing it this way, because I feel like one of the great things about LieMDB is we're kind of meant to review it straight off the bat, so it's annoying that we have time to reflect on it. Yeah,
we're only doing one round like this.
It should be a pure format, Harry.
And if we had been up close and personal as we are used to do it, I probably wouldn't have picked Akira. Like, it is fun to watch, like, don't get me wrong, it's not entirely like a sort of sit back and stroke your chin kind of film. It's what was that sound? That was a demon.
That was an amazing
digital sound. I'm gonna steal that sound and put it in a video.
Wait, what? Wait, the sound that I made? Did it really sound like demonic?
I mean,
no, it sounded amazing. Yeah, it was like the ray gun firing
sound effect.
It's the weird sort of woof.
Anyway,
fucking Ben Burns did you on this podcast?
Akira, it definitely keeps the pace up, but it also has a lot. I think it has a lot going on, like, beneath the surface, because reading into it and seeing like, hey, people have actually made like analysis behind it, and like how the social climate of the time, and like especially like post-war, Japan, influenced the creation of this. You think it's not just a cool film that has the bike from Akira in it. It's a film that has something to say. And, well, the source. See,
that's why I really liked it, actually. Yeah. It's like I think of I'm not gonna say of all of us, because that's not true. But I'm definitely less won over by the it's cool, so I like it aspect, especially of an animation. But a lot of the kind of cultural stuff, especially the ideas about power, and war, and like this imposing nuclear threat, and how like you survive beyond that, and how you rebuild, and all that kind of stuff, I really enjoyed. And like I think even if we don't straight away, I definitely would have picked up, because it's so layered, full of that stuff. There's so much of it. Whereas like I think what I wouldn't have appreciated is just how impressive this looks for the time.
Oh yeah, definitely. This was like
the detail they went into, because it looks modern. So I think my brain kind of just went like, oh yeah, this was just made like by a computer today, because it looks so good.
No, this was I think one of the first animated films to be drawn at 24 frames per second. While at the time, like Disney were doing 12 frames per second. So
you can really tell because it fucking holds up.
In and blew them out of the water. in terms of
it really looks good.
Yeah, the fluidity of the motion in like action scenes is like.
But it's not like Redline too much.
No, I would say that Redline was playing up, like being bombastic and crazy, while this just has, really solidly like well directed action scenes. Like I watched it once, and then to confirm if I was going to pick it, I rewatched the motorcycle fight at the beginning. And the way you get a sense of the world and the characters so quickly in the intro, and then it goes into that motorcycle fight, that is like the way it's scored is so great, and the way it's
my god, the music is so good.
It's incredible.
It has got some great music.
And I love the moments of like silence as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like just quiet, especially with the children.
There are a lot of like really dramatic moments in the film where it goes completely silent, and there's this almost kind of chorus of voices that come in and kind of amplify that particular moment. I think in particular, it's in the film when Tetsuo does kind of, that entire situation just gets out of hand and he's heading towards the Olympic area. There are many moments when he's kind of like emerging out of something, and there'll just be like pause and like a silence, and he'll just look over at like a tank, and then you'll just hear this. And I'm not going to do an imitation of it because it's going to sound really bad. But do you know the exact moments I'm talking about with that music? It's like, it's just voices. It's just a chorus of voices that comes, and it kind of amplifies that moment really nicely.
And I think that it's such a strong decision to like almost go against type, to like have this like sort of technologically like I guess Blade Runner style, like the digital like atmosphere and like the messy world, and
this
then
technological terror.
yeah and then score it against this like very wooden, very like echoey, and then like the chanting of the voices, very very guttural, like
it's like it's great cyberpunk, because cyberpunk is obviously a futuristic setting with like outdated morals and principles. And I think it kind of marries the aesthetic of this like technological new world with like a more kind of like traditional kind of like chanting and like music like from like, sounds like it could be like something from a tribe.
Yeah, I definitely think it has a lot to say about like the way our society like is structured and reacts to things. Like
that's the stuff I really like.
Yeah,
like the bikes were cool, but they're not as cool as the scene where the politicians are arguing.
Oh, the scene where the politicians are arguing is so good, just because you really get a feel for like how it came to be. Like I think a key theme of like throughout the world and how it's like presented as this cyberpunk is it's just this like messy, just like built up on itself, just like crowded, and like things are just clashing against each other, and it's it's jarring. And when all the politicians are just arguing back and forth, and you can tell that like everyone's just looking out for themselves, it's all just like these personal interests, and nothing is getting done, nothing is getting solved, and nothing is changing. You get the sense of like, wow, this is this is the way the world is, and I guess the only way to move forward is to wipe the slate clean, or almost. You get that sense anyway with how the film ends. The new universe that Tetsuo becomes, which is a bit weird, but I think it works.
It's very weird. I like the fact that the film was released before the final few editions of the manga. That's really cool. So like he ended the film like essentially like a big spoiler when he was reading the manga.
Yeah, he did the
Game of Thrones
thing, except this is way better than Game of Thrones. Outed.
I couldn't possibly comment because I haven't seen.
Yeah, Jono, what do you think?
I think it's got a very good first hour and 20 minutes, where it like sets up this like brilliant and in-depth world, and you just get such a feel for it, and just kind of how the resistance is in the background, but still was kind of there. It's just such a brilliant way of doing it. But for me, it sort of loses it. I mean, I'm initially interested by these weird like elderly looking babies, and the weird baby Trump.
Oh my god, Johnny, you're gonna love this. I was watching the film with two other people, and one of them literally made that exact comment when we first saw it. Said it's just Donald Trump, but like a baby with blue skin that kind of still looks old at the same time.
I think the the baby has like stronger like moral fiber than Donald Trump.
Yeah. So it gets me like initially interested by these things, but I feel by the end it doesn't know what to do with it. Really, is my feeling, and then it sort of loses me at that point.
I think that what it does with the fight between Akira and Tetsuo is it's this very like human, like moment to moment, like it's just these two people who were once friends, like Prestige style, battling it out, but also being a sort of metaphor for like the world at large, you know.
I guess you're the king now, but it's only what was it, like King of the Hill? But it's
king
only
of
King
this
of
pile
Garbage.
of rubble is the best line. It's like
in the English dub that I watched, where Canada has a kind of weird voice. He says but he's only the king of garbage.
Wait, can I make a controversial comment?
Shoot.
Yeah.
Not a fan of Canada.
The main guy.
No.
I think he is.
He's just a bit of a idiot.
Yeah, he's
like a dick.
Yeah.
There's no reason to like him.
I don't know. I wouldn't say there's no reason to like him, but I do feel that he is this like rough and tumble, like a disenfranchised youth kind of character. I think it's fitting.
He's a good audience surrogate. Like the fact that.
I feel he's a bit of a nothing character.
I really like the recurring theme. I say theme, probably is a theme, where the lead guys, they keep getting called skirt chasers, which is, I guess, the Neo Tokyo version of fuckboy. Which is, I think we should, you know, put skirt chaser into common vernacular because it's very funny. And
chasing the hard body in the 80s, you know. Gotta look what was on the Panty Winter shirt.
Hey Tony, by the way, because I watched it in the English dub version as well, and what you said the best line isn't the best line, because the best line is the part where Canada and Kai are on like one of those hoverboard thingamajigs, and they're inside the facility, and Canada turns to one of the guards and says, "Where's the baby room?" That is the best line. In no other film could that line actually be taken seriously. If it was any other film, people would just laugh their heads off. But it has. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he is a bit the lead guy, Canada. I think he is likable in the sense that he is almost a bit lost in this world that's just a bit too big for him, you know. He's just in it because he thinks the rebel girl Jin Erso is cute, and while this like sort of crazy like politician and like revolution is going on around him, that he gets himself wrapped up in.
Yeah, I think that's true. Canada sort of I think what makes me like Canada is the fact that while Tetsu dislikes him because he feels that Canada has always been in control of him, I still get the impression that Canada genuinely cares for him, and he wants like the best possible outcome in this situation. So that's what makes me like him, you know. And in fact, speaking of other likable, actually, you know what, Johnny, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say that I like that the girl's name is just like Kay, which just feels like that's like the joke response that she always kind of gives to him. Like the first time, I was like, "Yeah, I'll rescue you." She's like, "Kay."
Yeah.
It's very smart the way he rescues her. By the way, just in that police station. She was with us in the police station that doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like as the narrative progresses and reaches the end, she doesn't really have much to do.
Yeah, they sort of like give her
so much so they literally fucking possess her and use her in a fight because they're like, we have to use this character for something.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, it is a bit weird. I think she probably could have done to be a bit more of like a serious like counterpoint to like Canada, who's a bit more young and youth. Optimistic, I guess, and a bit more, less like the thing that happens when Kay shoots a guy's face off.
Oh,
like dying.
That's such a good moment.
Like a literally like a minute later, like Canada is like, "Yo, don't worry about it. You know, I'm your boyfriend by the way," and she's like properly distraught about it. I'm like,
yeah, no. I love that. I love that moment when he
Can
actually.
we talk about the violence a bit?
Oh, the violence is, I will say, great.
I was just going back to what you were saying just a second ago. I love the moment when she shoots that police officer and the genuine look of terror on her face. It's just it's so well drawn, and it's another thing I was saying time and time again while I was sitting here watching this film with the two other people. There would be scenes and sequences, and we just turn to each other and go, "Someone fucking drew that." I mean, how I do not know. It seems to be like the recurring thing that we come back to when we review anime, but still, I mean, you can't just help but be marveled by it. Just and the imagination. You go to the scene right then in the Olympic Stadium. I mean, the monster that Tetsuo becomes. It's like, who even has the imagination to come up with these grotesque?
Cronenberg.
Yeah, Cronenberg. That's a good point, actually. But anyway, it's out of my mind. I'd never be able to have the talent to draw it or the imagination to think it.
I think the I'll call it like the body horror in Akira is like really strong. Like I think one of the coolest things, I say cool, one of like the most like visceral things and like it really impressive is when Tetsuo he gets hit by a cannon from space and he just creates like a robot arm for himself. You know, like not only is this cool, it's also
taking the words from my mouth.
The themes of man and machine like coming together and being bad and like
the level of fucking detail in that.
Yeah, when he's on the Jarl's chair in Whiterun, and you can see like his robot veins are like growing into like the chair, like he's trying to like hold back. It's like, oh my god, it's good.
It's really good, and like I feel like you can read it a lot of different ways, but the whole kind of like the very obviously starting with something that looks and connotes a nuclear explosion.
Yeah,
I mean it's pretty like signposted right there.
Yeah, it's not something that you have to look too hard for, I feel, which is good. It like presents it in a way that is very clear to like draw parallels with.
I feel like a few subplots are kind of a bit pointless, but that's probably because I'll excuse that because now I know about the source material.
Yeah.
But there was just some guy trying to get away with a case of money that just died.
Yeah. That's right.
Like,
in terms, I wouldn't say it was pointless. I would just say that it was convoluted. That part there with the politician and the money, I don't understand I don't understand.
You know what's really good about that subplot is there's that one line where you find out that he was working for the revolution, or like the revolution was hired out by him.
Yeah.
And you realise like it was just the council like.
I was about to say it may be cool. I still don't know what it was. That's the part of the film like I was kind of unsure about who Ryu was, and was he like a double agent? I don't know who that politician guy was.
What is Ryu?
It just confused me a little bit, but it wasn't. I think it's fine that it wasn't such a large aspect of the film that it meant I could go past it, and it wasn't that much of an issue for me. Also, the most memorable character is the scientist.
Yeah,
Einstein.
Oh, the scientist. Everything is his fault. He's the what do they call it? The Quill, the Peter Quill of this universe. He should have killed Tetsuo when he became too powerful for them to control, but he got greedy, man. Those wave graphs were too close to Akira's.
Just that he's looking at just through like no, it's 4 lines of a different colour. Just look at it, they go, it's elements we have never seen before, and they're just like, there must be something we could do, and just like looks through the same graph. It's like, what is that telling him? What? And just to see where he just like looks at the weird light show on that weird machine that's never really explained, and just goes, it's beautiful. It's like
it makes such a cool sound though.
Yeah, I think it's easy enough to understand. Like at the beginning, it shows you what Akira looks like, and then at the end, it's like, oh man, Tetsuo and Akira's waveforms are like syncing up or whatever. Like ours.
He's
they're doing those
like,
clap syncs.
Because he's a man with the power of an amoeba or whatever that is.
The great line where Kei just gets possessed and just talks about what Akira is. It's like, if you didn't know what Akira was, There's a whole paragraph where she explains what Akira is.
I also
then the bit where the commander as well, just like over the loudspeaker, explains what happened to Akira before. They're just like kind of like adds on the end. Oh yeah, I was like doing that to taunt you or whatever. Not just telling the audience what's meant to be happening.
That didn't feel too on the nose.
Yeah, I think it works.
That worked.
I think it works.
I like that line.
It felt on the nose to start off with, and then he got kind of all right. Yeah, he's kind of just
maybe it isn't the dub.
I also like how Akira is. I mean, where Akira is, he's basically like a Russian doll. You know, he starts off as this kind of like giant chamber, right? And then you go inside that, and it's like this weird spherical thing. And then you go inside that, and it's just a couple of jars, just a few jars of tissue.
Yeah, and he's kept at like almost 0 degrees Kelvin because he's just like that powerful, even though he's dead, and he's just some sliced up.
But that's good though, because even though I sort of remembered like quite a bit of the film the first time that I watched it, the fact that there was like yet another thing within that Akira was inside, just it, because I was waiting for the anticipation to see what was inside it, and every time there was something more, I was like, oh, that's kind of annoying, which I actually quite like, because it shows just how invested I am in the story, and how I just want to find out what's inside that, who the fuck Akira actually is, you know.
You want to open Pandora's box, Ethan,
yeah,
and let loose sin into the world.
Also, speaking of other characters that I quite like, I really like the Colonel, because I talked about this earlier with Harry. I'm not sure if he completely agrees with me, but I always thought that from the beginning, he's kind of, you assume that a military man in a film, he's going to be bad, and he's not going to be a likable character, but I think...
Yeah, he's going to be just like...
Yeah, exactly. But halfway through, he talks about how he doesn't like Neo Yokio, but he's still concerned for its well-being. So, oh yeah, God's sake. It's just nice to have like a high-ranking military officer in a film who's just who's like,
because he's the one who gets things done. He's the one who is like, look, this council's doing nothing. I'm performing a coup.
Oh my God, that's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, I think our military should. I see myself in him.
He's the strongest character, I'd say, in this.
Ooh,
definitely one of them.
Physically strong, maybe.
Now, I think my favorite character is what's his face? The guy that gets mad.
Tetsuo.
Yeah, because I think I also mentioned this to Ethan, but a lot of things that I like, I am now realizing that they just ripped off Akira.
Yeah, that is true.
So there's a film called Chronicle, which is basically just Akira, but it's found footage.
Ooh.
And I used to really like that film, but now I'm like, oh, it's just bad Akira. And Stranger Things, there's a lot of Akira in Stranger Things' DNA.
Yeah.
Like but the government facility and the tests on the telekinetic children.
I completely agree with Harry. I've spent the past few days just thinking back to kind of films afterwards that I think, actually, that kind of dystopian future thing it's got going for it. It feels a lot like Akira. Like, if you think about, I don't know, I think one of the main ones for me is The Matrix. Like, I think of The Matrix, and it just reminds me of Akira a lot in quite a lot of ways. Obviously, there's a lot of originality in The Matrix, but I don't think The Matrix could have been made without Akira as like a source of inspiration.
Well, you've got Ghost
Akira's
in
better.
the Shell as the stepping stone from Akira to Ghost in the Shell to The Matrix.
Is Ghost in the Shell good?
So and
I'm not talking about the Scarlett Johansson film.
It's all right. I mean, we're continuing the classic trend of talking about a different anime film in Tony's section. But yeah, I think Akira is better though. I think Akira has, while also talking a lot about like society and having like a lot of depth to it, I think it always keeps the energy up. Like, there's so many scenes that are just like great action scenes.
Well. I think you can miss every like deep philosophical point and still enjoy Akira.
I think it also makes it hard to miss though. Like, I'm not super who's into.
Yeah, but you can watch this film when you're 10 and.
I would not.
Yeah, neither would I.
Harry. There is a scene where a woman is just like attacked by a gang.
Ethan, what age did you watch Old Boy?
Oh, Ethan's not a model for like good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of pieces of evidence where I can kind of argue against that, but nothing comes to mind. Tony's right. I'm not a good model for that sort of thing. I watched Old Boy when I was 10 or 11, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want me to repeat that line again?
Wait, let me just take note of when this is.
Tony, is your dad gone? Okay, no then.
No, not Guardian. That's quite nice films. No, I think so.
Oh, Ethan, I've got the start of War Pigs.
Oh, that's what I wanted to fucking talk to you about before this, and I completely forgot. I'll ask you at the end of the podcast. But really quickly, Tony, at what point? Sure. At what point did your dad come into the room? Remember what I was saying?
You were saying about I just called you not good.
Oh yeah.
You,
okay. All right.
Fair
enough.
Okay.
All right. Okay, that's okay.
Wait, can we all be quiet for like 5 seconds?
I watched Old Boy when I was about maybe 10 or 11 years old. I think was when I first watched it. Yeah. No, that was too young. But yeah, no, Tony's right. I wouldn't show this to like a young person. It's still graphic. And it's the opposite of Spirit, right?
That's what I was saying, man. Tony's like, you don't have enough spirit. This is like the opposite. Whatever. This is soul. Spirit and soul are yin and yang.
No,
this is soul.
It's not soul.
Spirit.
It's mind. That'd be the opposite of spirit. It'd be like.
No, this is body, man. This is fucking just body.
Oh, body is a good one.
Yeah.
You have to be jacked to watch Akira.
You do. I can't watch it. No, not November. But yeah. Anyway, I really like. Wait, can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
Quick?
Sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know how if you guys got this as well, but the whole kind of revolution, this kind of imbalance of power. Did you not? I mean, this is probably really obvious, but the whole the guy who was getting bullied all his life suddenly having the power and fucking everything up.
Yeah. That was definitely with Tetsuo.
That was a big thing.
I picked up on how he was like, okay, this is how it feels about like nuclear power being the clear allegory for the sort of strange psychic power, and it's almost like showing Tetsuo was like, yeah, this is what happens when people get too big for their boots, you know. They like, even though they have this terrible power, you know, they don't use it with respect. And I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, but it's also like I wouldn't go so far as to call him an antagonist. I think he's got a lot of sympathetic qualities.
Yeah, I mean, he is definitely...
Even though he kind of loses his mind in the middle of the film.
I would say he runs counter to the protagonist's objectives, but I don't think he is at his heart bad, even though he does kill a whole bunch of people. Like a whole bunch. Like
a lot of them are bad.
Like a lot.
He's like Nathan Fielder, Tony. I like him regardless.
Yeah. He's no Thanos, though. He's not that good.
Tony, do you see why I wanted you to watch this film for the longest time?
Yeah. It's
yeah,
really good.
And you know what? You know what you still haven't seen? Spirited Away.
I'm saving that for the worst day of my life, Ethan.
Right. That's cool. Oh, actually, I also wanted to mention. Oh God, it was probably way before this, but the moment where I realised this film is so strange, like I would even say it's weirder than weird, is the part where Tetsuo kind of imagines he has like a vision, and it's this like
in his
he basically in his bed. He's in his bed and he sees like a small rabbit and a small bear and like a small kind of toy truck or something like that, a small toy car, and they kind of just all start dancing on his bed. Mm-hmm. And then you think, oh, where is it gonna go from here? How's it gonna step up? And then they come back and these giant like freakish monsters who assemble out of the corner of the rooms and
so creepy, and it's just like...
nice Die Hard reference as well.
Yeah.
All the Or the milk and stuff.
Also, it's been a while since we talked about the beginning, but you mentioned how all the action sequences in the film are like really they're just fantastically executed, especially in the beginning. But I also think the beginning it has a lot of intrigue for me because it's kind of
it sets up
because it's intercut with these scenes where you see this little like kind of this thing really in like a jacket and a hat with some person escorting them. And you just there's that great part where Tetsuo is like driving and he sees him, and then there's like the kind of part where you're not entirely sure what happens, but there's definitely some sort of collision between them, and when he gets when Tetsuo gets taken away, as does the child. It's so mysterious. You just want to find out what the deal with this is, and it also helps with the beginning of the film when literally the first thing that you see is like this fantastic view of old Tokyo and how it just looks kind of serene and nice, and then right in the center of it you see this small little spark, and then it just expands, and it takes away, and then after that you kind of see in bold Akira written in red on the screen, and it's just like, this is really good.
You can tell that why I didn't like the film when I kind of like missed a lot of that opening because I was just like on my phone or like.
Were you playing Football Manager, Harry?
I was like, I missed a few seconds. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh man!
I'm really glad I rewatched that opening because it is really good.
Yeah, I really like the when the little kid, the one with psychic powers, like his I guess captor is like shot by all those people. And you get that like scream where he just destroys the environment around him, and not only is he like, oh my god, he's got crazy psychic powers, but also like you can tell just how young he is, despite being this like Benjamin Button like kid,
The only bit I actually laughed at was when he disappears, because the subtitles are slightly ahead, so it was just a shot of him standing, and it said he disappeared. It's just him standing there, and then I got the reverse shot, and then he was gone.
That was you gaining psychic powers because you'd been in contact with Akira, Harry. You were. It
was. I'm like that weird old little girl. Also, very quickly, BioShock, the fucking little sisters. Another thing that was stole from Akira.
Yeah. Akira. We've just found the progenitor to so many cool things.
Yep.
There was like a short, like, I want to say like 30-second clip there's this one shot where Akira's bike, after fighting up the clown boss, it does this like sideways like break, and that has been like adapted in so many other anime as well. It's just like something that's super iconic.
Yeah.
So are we gonna slap some scores on this bad boy, because
we can do.
I think we probably should.
All right.
Also, I'd just like to put this reminder out there now. At the end of LieMDB round 2, you're allowed to change your scores for round 1.
Okay, I'm going to give Redline a 21 out of.
But what would you give Akira, Tony?
Akira, all right. Just to quickly sum up all the great things about this, in the way I always do. I think the thing that stuck with me is I was watching it, I was really enjoying it, but it was just a bit after I had finished it, or like as it was coming to an end, I realized like how great it was at how everything like complemented each other. Like it felt like a complete, like it wasn't just something that had like, okay, it has great action scenes and has some other great quality. It was a thing where everything was in service of the overall theme and like message that it was trying to tell, and it never lost like anything. It always was great in how it accomplished that. So the things like with the soundtrack, again, like the incredible like build up of tension from that, and how it's always incredibly fluid. Like the characters, I think they're quite human. It's a nice contrast to how like Alien the World sort of film feels. Is it's always like this sort of like petty squabble, with Tetsuo, or just Canada trying to buying GIF for GPs in the Grand Exchange with Kay, and again, the bike from Ready Player One is really cool, and we've talked a lot about how the plot advances, and I think we haven't mentioned the prison escape scene kind of thing where they try and break into where Tetsuo is. That's really good, and then it comes back, with Tetsuo being like, I don't need saving, which kickstarts the end of the film. And I think the end of the film, where it's the laser battle between Tetsuo and Kaneda, is really strong. I think it's some of the most like inventive anime fights I've seen in a while, because it feels so asynchronous. Normally you just see like these like ridiculously powerful guys like throwing energy beams at each other. Like it doesn't really have that much weight to it, because you don't have a sort of human like contrast to it. Whereas it like feels like really like grounded because of how Kaneda is like approaching it. Like all he has is this laser rifle, that's all he's got up against this basically god. And then it runs out of batteries, and he's like, "Hey, come down and fight me like a man," And I think it's really good. Like I think it was definitely a very subtle 10 out of 10 that I'll have to give this, because I was just like blown away by it. Like I think it's something that I will think about for a long time after it. Like Redline was a lot of fun, and I could always watch it for a lot of that fun. But Akira is something that I will keep thinking about and keep seeing in other things, which is a real strength to it. And I don't think there's anything else like this, So yeah, that's the bar.
Damn.
Also, we shouldn't include our own scores in this because
Nah, I think we should.
Unfair. It is a 10,
anyway.
But I feel a bit unfair. Like I really like it, and
yeah, I feel like you should definitely include your own scores.
1 out of 10.
I mean, you'll need it to counter mine probably.
Should we go Johnny last or go next? Get out of the way. Rip the band-aid off.
I don't mind. It's up to Johnny if he wants to go now.
Right, yeah, I'll go next then. It's a really good start, which sort of, for me, I don't really feel like the end really has all of, well, that it is kind of a through line that's all joined up. It just feels by the end it kind of loses a feeling of itself, and because it kind of, for me at least, promises so much with the build up, it just really detracts to have this ending that I don't like. So I'm probably going to be overly harsh. I think I'm going to give it a 6. Just because it just feels like it's lacking quite a lot. The fact that it feels like it cucks me with the end.
Yeah, to be fair, I do have that complaint about some films sometimes, so I can completely understand it. However, I think the one thing that does make sense, though, to me at least, is when Akira is revealed to just be like a bunch of essentially just like petri dishes filled with biological brain matter or whatever, because it feels like this problem is like so out of our hands, but I understand if it doesn't, like, I don't think it's mystery like
that
I think it's
moment
more,
like initially watching it, I think, I mean, I can't really remember what my feeling was about it, but I don't remember any particular feelings. Definitely this time, because that's sort of seeing that, so yeah, that's what it is. It didn't really leave much. The fact that so I watched, like, rewatching the first hour and 20 minutes like first, and then taking a break because I had to do stuff before seeing the end. I was like, I remembered most of the stuff that happened in that I say intro, but like I was there going, I actually don't remember how it ends. I don't know who lives. I remember this kind of weird, massive, fleshy thing, and just still feeling like none of my questions had been answered. That sort of remained the same on the rewatch.
Fair enough. I mean, I think there are things you can infer from how the ending is handled, but I don't think it does specific like, how do we stop the world from nuclear war, or how do we solve political corruption. It doesn't really give like a concrete answer. It sort of more presents it in this how it happens sort of series of like events, I guess. Did you not feel that the ending between Kaneda and Tetsuo, like how that is resolved, that was like the sort of main driving force?
Yeah, it's a good. I do like the whole King of the Hill. It's garbage, and then the fight of just this like massively overpowered person against Canada, who somehow like turns out to be this kind of a badass shooter, which just kind of comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I do sort of like that, though. I wasn't. I don't know. The fact that it then like goes on to, he's just like, it just feels like it goes on too long with him, like some weird light show, and then he's like, Canada was stuck in there, or was just like kind of floating around a bit, just seeing these. I don't know. Just the visuals at that point never really seemed to mean much. I never got a feeling for what it was trying to say at this point.
Well, understandable. It's never going to appeal to everyone, but I think it did what it set out to do, at least in my opinion.
6 is still like a decent score.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah. I mean, if I was scoring like the first hour 20 minutes, it'd probably be like 8, maybe a 9. But it's just that because I feel like the things I don't know, I just felt it was going certain places and then it didn't, and because of that it just weakens that whole
I have
section.
had a very similar reaction of this to other films though, so I do understand it. Like, yeah, I don't know, just for me it feels like enough of a climax in the way it's presented that I'm not like, I don't know. But
Garrett, can we please move on?
Anyway, point taken.
Alright, I was going to give a big long monologue about it, but we don't have time, so I'm giving it an 8. Ethan?
Come on, Harry. Come on. 20 words or less.
No, we're alright, 20 words or less. Akira was everything I did not like in Redline. Good. Did it in 10 words, there you go.
Well,
8 out of
twice
10.
as many marks.
Actually, not good, great. And it's actually made me want to read the manga.
The mango. Oh my god.
Believe it or not, Tony.
You're gonna know what the source material, Harry.
I was so invested in the world. I like the ending. I don't think the ending's as good as the rest of the film. I still think it's kind of like 2001, where you kind of you pretend you get it, and then you just try and come up with an interpretation instead of like are satisfied.
That is a great point about 2001. But for me, this has all the goodness of the 2001 without as much of the. It's all the killer no filler part of 2001. You know, it doesn't drag as much. Like if
I think on a second viewing for me, it would definitely be like a 9. But I mean, we're not reviewing my second viewing of this film. We're reviewing my first.
It's better than
it's a very high 8.
So I'll allow it.
It's a very high 8.
That's good. Thank you, Harry. I'm glad you're not the Debbie Downer of this round.
Yeah, it turns out I do like anime if you pick good ones.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Because I'm right.
Keep doing it. you are right in this case.
No, I think by this point you know what kind of anime I like.
I mean, I'm still swinging and missing.
I still have no clue what anime you like, Harry. You're kind of like Johnny with classic movies. Like you can roll a dice with him. You can flip a coin. You got no idea whether he'll like it or not. It's just completely random.
I like most things.
I think
I definitely like more things than I don't like.
We need to look at the wave graph of Harry's opinions on anime and compare it to the
just things in general. If we charted who's given the most points to things, I think I'd definitely be up there. I'm generally quite positive about things.
That's good. That's
not
good
anime,
outlook
but
on life.
Thanks.
Well,
This is the one anime I like. This and Grave of the Fireflies. Alright.
Yeah. Yeah, I really, really, really like this film. I think it's very good. I don't know how I can like a film so much that it's like an action film, and you know that I don't treat action films as like a genre. You know, it's not a proper genre for me, but I can't help but just still be blown away and go, wow, at the amount of time and effort people put into these sorts of things to make them just look vivid and visceral. So I love the action. It just makes me admire it a lot more. The use of the music is really minimalistic in this film. I think a lot of it does come from kind of the sound effects of vehicles and obviously dialogue, which is really good. There's other things as well. You've pretty much mentioned it. and I was originally, it was going to be a high 8, but I think on this rewatch I've liked the ending more enough to make me give it a 9. So I'm going to.
That's all I wanted. I saw the first Redline episode where you complained about the ending. I think I got your quote where it's like, oh, it's too smart or whatever, or too nonsense.
Yeah.
But now, like on this rewatch, that was what I wanted.
He's been watching The Mirror, Tony. He likes understanding things.
Oh my god. Oh, if you guys watch The Mirror, you'd see what I have to put up with sometimes with some films. But anyway.
Introduction to European cinema.
Yeah, you know it. You know it.
So is that
oh yeah, it's 9 out of 10. The only way it would go down to an 8 is because I found out the other day that Akira is like Kanye West's main source of inspiration, or something. I'm not even joking.
I mean, I know that doesn't come through in any of his work. I mean, I could almost.
It's like
oh my god, Tony! Can I just re-say the thing you just said? What? I don't see that. Actually, you know what? I kind of do see it. It sort of does make sense. It's great.
you know me. I'm never going to be consistent.
Yeah. Like, so, but basically, it's a 9.
I think Akira has more to say about the world.
Oh, of course. I mean, it's not even a competition. It obviously has like a social commentary, and Kanye West is just like.
Oh man, the bit in Akira where they were like, poopity scoop, scoopty whoop.
No, hang on. I wanted to say, it's
keep talking about Akira forever. Can we do an Akira podcast?
It's a 9. It could have been an 8. It could have been an 8 because it's Kanye West's main source of inspiration, and it's back up to a 9 because Kanye West was in my slideshow for Church Road. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
We're currently running 40 minutes over the first episode.
I'd like to go back and change my scores for the first round.
We'll do that at the end of the round.
Fine.
Because then you have more time to reflect.
I'm very sure what I want to lower.
Fine, Ethan. Fucking change your score right now.
I'm not even going to tell you what I changed. I'm just going to do it on the spreadsheet.
Okay, I'll tell you. Ethan is lowering Carnage to an 8 from a 9, and he's lowering Silent Running from an 8 to a 9.
What? From a 9 to an 8.
From a 9 to an 8.
Alright, is it time for us to unleash Akira on this podcast?
That's not real. Go back and... Okay, now he's just trolling. Okay, right, so Carnage's total has gone down to 31.
We'll finalise everyone's changings at the end of this round.
Whilst we're changing them, I just want to raise Silent Running from a 5 to a 6. There we go.
That means we've got 331s.
331s, Redline's a 28, and Akira is a 33.
Great, I've made up for my mistake.
Ethan, stop lowering, don't lower Redline.
Oh, Redline suffered enough, Ethan.
Alright,
we're just
let's fucking end this.
Live chatting the numbers going down.
Yeah,
Salience.
Now Ethan's just lowering things. We gotta stop before everything becomes a 1.
Come on. It's gonna be the Olympics in 2 years or 1 year.
Wait, first of all, we should say what Johnny's gonna do in the next round.
Alright.
Yeah.
Johnny, what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna do the film Rope.
Oh, yes! Rope. Jonathan! Oh my god, I actually love you right now, you know that? Yes, it's Hitchcock. It's fucking Hitchcock.
Yeah. Ooh. Is it one shot?
It's so a little like trivia, it's 8 shots, but like done together to try and feel like one shot, and it's only done that way because the limits of how much film you could record at one time was, well, an 1/8 of the film's run length. So
is it really only 8 shots? Because when we watched it, it felt like it was like 3. Like most of the film was kind of one shot, you know? Oh god.
But I'm pretty sure it's. I mean, that is off the top of my head, but I think it's about 8. But anyway, it's
hang on, one last thing, guys. Just listen to what Jonathan just said. It's a film that consists of just tracking shots. How is that not just like the best film ever made?
You've picked the Ethan superfood.
Yeah,
Well,
I like how we went from
superfood.
Birdman to Rope.
Yeah, I like
film
yeah,
that's
this...
one shot. Film that's one shot.
And also, this is replacing because I was gonna do Birdman, but I've decided I'm doing this instead. So this is my Birdman replacement.
Jonathan, are you keeping S
Exactly.
then? Oh,
Yeah,
what a
I'm
man!
gonna keep
What a
S.
man!
But I'm gonna have that be the last one since I saw that with just to give you more time to.
Yeah. If
So,
if I rewatch that, Jonathan, if I
So,
rewatch
not-
that, it could be a 9.
Powerful.
Right,
Anyway,
let's fucking finish this because we are.
have the
a lot
orb
longer
of
than we
psychic
should be.
energy wipe the slate clean of this podcast.
Remember when this was going to be our short podcast?